Hey guys, doing this review from the Book Nook tonight, which is where I recently finished reading a fantastic book that I want to do a quick review on, but also give you a few pointers from this book. Now this book is called How to Survive an Active Killer by a friend of mine named Aaron Janetti. And the subtitle is An Honest Look at Your Role in the Age of Mass Violence. A couple things to note here about just the title of this book, How to Survive an Active Killer. We hear a lot in the news about active shooters, but there's so much more than that out there. We've seen active stabbing sprees, we've seen bombings in public places. So to just use this term active shooter is probably not sufficient. So I think Aaron does a great job of just making it broad and unpacking a lot of the case studies about stabbings, obviously shooters, but also bombings and just a number of events that can happen out in public that would be basically indiscriminate killing of just people that are nearby, right? The second part is an honest look at your role in the age of mass violence. And really, this book is probably the single best piece at being honest about how a lot of these scenarios play out. And I think he really wrestles with some topics that a lot of people don't. I've taken a number of different courses, the ALICE training, the DHS, Run, Hide, Fight, and I've been in security-related fields for about 15 years of my just professional career. And really, he deals with a lot of topics in here that I think a lot of people aren't going to because maybe it's not politically correct or people don't want to talk about things like what it's like to actually use violence. Can you do that? What it's like to put your finger in somebody's eye socket and push until the eyeball pops. Things like that. I mean, he gets real about it. So really why I think this is a great book for you as an individual to read is because I mentioned these different courses that people take. Those courses are great at teaching people that a lot of different techniques and some situational awareness. But what they are doing is also kind of relying on this phenomenon of what happens in the classroom. You're there, you're taking a course, you're sitting with 20, 30 other students, and you're all kind of primed for responding as a group of folks against an attacker, right? Whether it's the fighting piece or barricading or whatever it is, you're kind of working as a group. Unfortunately, real life isn't that way. You might be in a room with complete strangers. You might be at the shopping mall. You might be at an airport terminal with people that you've never gone through this course with. So really what it means is that your response is completely and 100% up to you. And I think really just to kind of hit that home, I'm going to read from page 50. Relying on police is foolish, not because they don't want to help you and not because they aren't good at their jobs, but simply because they can't get there fast enough. It's your duty to learn to protect yourself and your loved ones. In other words, the police, they want to help you. That's their job. They train for this all the time. However, there's 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, 7 minutes in these different circumstances where they aren't going to be there in time. So what that leaves is a gap where it's up to you to protect yourself and your loved ones. Now, that's not to say that he doesn't talk about communicating and working together. He absolutely does cover that, but he really focuses on the individual response. Now, where the rubber really meets the road is the plan that he kind of develops for you. And there's 7 different steps to this, to the kind of the planning process. And number 1 is you got to prepare. Now, how can we do that? Well, you can start by reading this great book. You can also follow Aaron Janetti on Facebook and LinkedIn, where he puts out a ton of great videos and articles about this. There are other people out there doing this as well. Find some reputable training. That would be another way to prepare. So those are just a couple things that you can do to prepare. Number 2 is recognize. What that means is recognize that the threat is real. First and foremost, don't bury your head in the sand. And 2, learn about situational awareness and how to recognize an active threat, an actual threat, so to speak. Number 3 is get away. Right? If something bad's going down and you don't need to be there, don't be there. Just get away. Most of the time, you can probably avoid a lot of these circumstances by just not being in the wrong place. Right? 2 people are starting to get into an altercation, you get away. Somebody's acting a little bit suspicious, you get away. And I've talked about that in some of my other videos. Number 4 would be keep away. Maybe building a barricade or doing something to keep that threat away from you, and barricading is a great example of that. Number 5 is fight like hell. right? This is run, hide, fight. You're going to fight with everything you have, to include using weapons, fighting dirty. There's no such thing as a fair fight in this scenario. Using multiple people to help you to take down this threat, but fight like hell, because your life literally depends on it. Number 6 is give medical care. More than likely in this type of scenario, people are going to be injured. You yourself might get injured. You might get injured just by a stray bullet, a stabbing, or potentially if you're attacking the assailant, you might get injured that way. So you need to learn how to render medical care. Number 7 is how to interact with responding officers. You need to know that if you have potentially subdued the bad guy, right? He's come in the room, you've hit him in the head with a fire extinguisher, and now you've got the gun trained on him. You now might look like that bad guy when the police officers respond on scene. So learn how to respond to officers on compliant posture and willing to follow their instructions so that you don't look like a threat. All right. So those are some 7 rules that I think Aaron really kind of puts out in his plan for you to at least increase your chances of survival. He's pretty explicit about in this book that there is no guarantee, and we all know that. It could be wrong place, wrong time. We get that. There is room for that, unfortunately, in this universe. However, with these 7 steps, you can definitely increase your chances of survival. So check out the book, How to Survive an Active Killer by Aaron Janetti. Check him out on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and stay safe, guys.